You think the problem is that you don't know how to flirt. That's not the problem. The problem is you're trying to switch modes. Like there's normal conversation, and then there's this separate thing called flirting that you have to activate. So you hesitate, you overthink, and by the time you try to change the vibe, it already feels forced. And you've probably been here before. You're talking to a girl, everything is fine, but it stays safe, polite, flat, or you try to be a little more playful, and suddenly it feels awkward, or worse, you say nothing at all, and later you realize the moment was there. You just didn't take it. So by the end of this video, you're not going to learn lines or tricks. You're going to understand what flirting actually is, and how to let it happen without forcing it. Because once you see it clearly, you don't need to try so hard anymore. Here's what most people think is happening. Flirting is something you add to a conversation, a skill, a set of moves, so they look for the right moment and the right line, the right tone, and what's actually happening is different. Flirting isn't something you add. It's what naturally shows up when there's comfort plus tension at the same time. Not just comfort, not just tension, both. And this is where most people go wrong. They stay in comfort. Safe questions, predictable responses, polite energy. Nothing wrong with it, but nothing moves. The shift is simple, but uncomfortable. And stop trying to be impressive. Start allowing a little bit of risk into the interaction. Not big risks, just small moments where you're slightly less filtered. That's where flirting begins, but this is where it usually breaks down. People think flirting is about what you say. It's not. It's about how much of yourself you're actually showing. You can say a completely normal sentence, and if there's intention behind it, it lands differently. Or you can say something flirty, and if it's forced, it dies instantly. Here's what's actually happening psychologically. When you're overly careful, you remove all uncertainty from the interaction, and without uncertainty, there's nothing for attraction to latch onto. So the mistake, over-polishing everything, thinking too much before you speak, trying to sound perfect. Let your responses be slightly unfiltered, not reckless, just real. Say what you actually notice. Tease lightly when it comes naturally. React honestly instead of strategically. And here's something most people don't realize. Flirting often sounds like normal conversation, just with a different energy behind it. But there's another layer most people completely miss. People think tension is risky, so they avoid it. They keep things smooth, agreeable, easy, but attraction doesn't grow in easy, it grows in contrast. What's actually happening? Every interaction is either predictable or slightly unpredictable, and your brain pays attention to the second one. Because predictable feels safe, but unpredictable feels interesting. The mistake? Trying to be liked too quickly, agreeing with everything, laughing a little too fast, smoothing over every moment that could have had a bit of edge. And it looks harmless when you're doing it, but what it actually signals is, I'm trying not to lose this interaction. Introduce light friction, not conflict, not attitude, just the little edge. And this is where people overcomplicate it. So let me show you what this actually looks like in real life. You're talking to her. She says something like, "I'm always late, I can't help it." Most people go, "Oh yeah, same, I get that." Safe, agreeable, dead. But a slight shift, you smile a little and say, "Yeah, I feel like you've probably said that a lot." Now, nothing aggressive happened, but something changed. There's a tiny bit of tension, a tiny bit of unpredictability, and her brain goes, "Wait, what did he mean by that?" That moment, that's engagement. And notice something important. You didn't say anything crazy. You just didn't take the safest possible route. That's the difference. Disagree playfully. Hold eye contact a second longer. Pause before responding. Let moments breathe instead of rushing to fill them. Because when you rush to remove tension, you also remove the part that makes the interaction feel like something. That tiny bit of tension. That's what separates friendly from interesting. But this is where most people get confused. Because they think more tension equals better. It doesn't. Here's what people think. If I just push the vibe more, it will turn into flirting. What's actually happening? You're rushing something that needs space. Flirting isn't created by pressure. It's created by timing plus awareness. The mistake? Trying to escalate too early, changing your tone too fast, pushing the conversation somewhere it hasn't earned yet. Pay attention to her investment. Is she asking questions? Is she engaging back? Is she adding energy? If yes, you can lean in slightly. If not, forcing it will only make it awkward. And this is the part nobody really talks about. Sometimes the vibe just isn't there, and that's not something you can fix with better words. Which brings us to the real point of all this. You can do everything right. stay present, be natural, allow tension, and it still might not turn into flirting. Not because you failed, but because attraction isn't a script, it's a response. And once you understand that, you stop chasing perfect delivery and start focusing on how you show up, because the goal was never to turn small talk into flirting on command. It was to stop blocking the moments where it would have happened naturally. And once you stop doing that, you'll notice something strange. The conversation doesn't feel that different, but the way people respond to you does, and that's where it starts changing.